Hello and welcome to the Rich Life Recipe. I'm Alicia Shiro and my co-host,
Jason Allen Scott, suffering with technical difficulties, but here nonetheless.
And today we are super excited to have a real Willy Wonka, the modern day Willy Wonka, who is Oli The Choc, Mr. Oliver Dunn, here with us today.
Very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So Oli has been involved with his family business called the Simon Dunn Chocolatier. He's been working in the family chocolate shop and then recently pivoted to chocolate parties. And we met doing virtual events during the pandemic. So Oli came to me via a mutual colleague, and that's how we started working together. And basically the events that we were able to pull off during the pandemic were fantastic. Who doesn't love chocolate? And this also then led him, as he mentioned, into presenting called Sofa Stories and live shopping shows, which I can't wait to hear more about.
I have to say, I embraced the whole Willy Wonka thing, and we've had the new movie with Timothée Chalamet, and that's been great for me to listen to some new Wonka music and to play it during my chocolate parties and workshops and events. So yeah, it's a real positive. It puts a smile on people's faces as soon as you meet the chocolate man, the real life Willy Wonka.
So I guess the first question I have, which I think everyone has that looks into you, is you're from a long line of chocolatiers. Down the river of chocolate came you. What's that like being born into that world? Like many of us know what it's like to be born into a world of salespeople or plumbers or mechanics. And as a kid, you're always like, I never want to be like my parents. But is it completely different when your parent or parents have the greatest job in the world?
There must be something biologically, mustn't there, about not wanting to be like your parents, even when your parents are chocolatiers, because that's what happened with me. It was almost like I resisted it. It was almost too obvious to go into the family business that I looked at other things. And one of the things I wanted to do or become was a presenter. I wanted to be like a TV or radio presenter. I looked up to lots of broadcasters in the UK that I just thought they looked like they have fun and that they just literally get paid to have fun. So that inspired me from a young age. And then kind of when I got to 17, my priority was to get myself a car, get on the road, get the freedom that I wanted at that age. And I had an opportunity to work for my dad in the family business. I never looked back because before I knew it, every day was different. I'd be making chocolate truffles, chocolate football boots or soccer boots. And there's literally no end to what you can do with chocolate. So I quickly fell in love with the business and I understood why my dad and my mum were so passionate about it. Just kind of really tapping into that creativity. It really has been a journey when I look back, and it's really nice to do something like this because you get to reflect. And you think back to like when I was younger, I wanted to be a presenter and I didn't know how. And I felt like I needed to think about something more realistic, like a more regular trade. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I joined the family business and I realized that I was able to kind of leverage chocolate to present. And that's what I did. You know, I started hosting children's chocolate making parties in the local area, which was scary, you know, like going to somebody's house or party venue, showing the children how to make their own chocolate bars and chocolate Easter eggs and things was, you know, I knew how to work with chocolate, but not how to engage and entertain groups of children. So I had to learn how to do that. You know, I had no choice because it was either going to feel really awkward if I was very bad at it, or I was going to make myself feel comfortable by becoming professional and looking like somebody at least that knew what they were doing. So I found little quips and things that I got there with children balancing chocolate buttons on the noses, which would buy me time to get the piping bags ready, or, you know, piping chocolate mustaches on their faces, which, by the way, I did at a corporate event in Cheshire, Manchester yesterday. So it just, you know, these experiences of kind of going out of your comfort zone, I think, are just invaluable because it almost forces you to sharpen up these skills that you don't know when you're necessarily going to need them, but like Alicia mentioned, I've gone into presenting outside of the realm of chocolate for brands in the UK, and such as actually, you know, Warner Brothers, Disney. I've done stuff for Batman franchises and Lego, where I've literally got to be a big kid in a studio talking about all the merch, the caps, the hoodies, and the toys and collectibles. And I've just been able to kind of use that skill of presenting that I've learned through chocolate. So I guess it's, becoming comfortable with being who I am and just kind of being authentic and just owning the fact that I'm a big kid. And I obviously love chocolate and toys and all these fun things, but that's just me. So yeah, I'm very lucky to get to enjoy those experiences.
I'll tell you an interesting story that cross divides your story, Alicia's story, and my story. I, once upon a time, was in the events world, which is something else Alicia and I have in common. And I had a venue, I had a couple of venues, but my first venue was Red Cube, which is on Leicester Square. My second venue was Sway, which was in Bloomsbury. And then my third venue was number 1 Leicester Square. I kind of just moved across. But what I did is I got the arms and legs from dolls in charity stores, and I sent that to all the major networks, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Iron, Marvel Comics. And one of the gigs I got was Batman. And Christopher Nolan had just got it. And I got called into the Warner Brothers. They handed me the book. I've still got it here with the drawings and the illustrations. And this is what the look and feel of Batman's going to be like. And this is what Nolan's doing to it. And I put on a pre-premiere for Batman. I ended up, luckily, weirdly, getting the second one with Heath Ledger, who had passed on, which I did all completely black with black drinks and black squid inked hamburgers.
Oh.
And then I don't know, 5-6 years later, I got Iron Man with Marvel when Marvel still owned Iron Man, that first franchise. So talking about being a kid, I remember that same feeling of excitement, of that play, right, in your work, where it's not just, I need to do this one job and do it really well in a way that people remember it, so they tell other people, so my cost of client acquisition goes down, so my marketing becomes cheaper. That you're like, no, I get to play here in something that I love. And of course, if those that are listening to this, run over to YouTube, you get to see the full unedited episodes. One of the things you'll notice is Batman is right behind him, as is the words Jaws. And I love that. I love that you are still incorporating play, even though you've admitted to taking this very seriously of being a chocolatier. Yeah. How important is play to you?
You know what? It's really, really interesting that you should pick up on that. And I'd forgotten about the bag. I'm so focused on yourselves. I'd forgotten about what's behind me. But it is all this stuff that I just collect that it makes me feel good. It's that nostalgia kind of tapping into my inner child. When I was a child, I just loved having all my Batman figures and arranging them in a certain way. That's my homeware, I guess, all my Funkos or my Lego. And I look at those and just give me ideas of things that I can recreate out of chocolate. So we can sometimes create molds of certain things to obviously replicate into chocolate, like a chocolate Batmobile, for example. So for me, I guess it's important about having that environment that sparks creativity and just owning, and as I said earlier, just kind of being honest about what it is you need to keep that fire burning. And I have no shame in kind of adding to that collection. It's not necessarily things that I need, but I value the things that I want. And I always say, don't ignore inspiration. And it could be something as silly that I've just got this idea that I want to buy this action figure that I had when I was little, that just transports me back. It makes me feel something. And I think it just keeps me in that kind of vibrational place or that kind of happy space where I'm ready to create, I'm ready to make. And like you said, Jason, it's that fire, it's keeping that fire burning, it's keeping me in my flow so that I'm just ready to kind of experiment. And I think that's a big part of the job working with chocolate is play. I think it's quite infectious. So when I'm working with groups, whether that's with Alicia and doing a virtual event, they can see that I'm in here, I'm just having fun. And that's kind of infectious. But also somebody, like I spoke to a client on the phone today, I'm trying to get into her mind as to what it is we're going to make out of chocolate. It's actually a present for her husband. And it's like, what kind of music does he like? And she said, Bruce Springsteen. So I'll be listening to Bruce whilst I'm making a chocolate vinyl record and a chocolate cassette tape with whatever his favorite Bruce album is piped on there. So I'll just get upset about it. And I almost don't plan things too much. I just play and see what happens and see how it unfolds. Because sometimes I might plan this and draw it out. But actually, when it comes to making the things, it's sort of almost like it has a mind of its own and it takes its own direction. So it's really, really important.
I love
beautiful.
that. Yeah, they
Thank you.
say engaging in play reduces your cortisol levels by like 40% or something crazy like that, which is amazing. And also, chocolate is very healthy, which brings me
Chocolate is
to my
good.
question
Yeah.
for you. So, chocolate is often a guilty pleasure, right?
Mm, mm.
So, I know you've made this part of your life. How do you balance enjoying the chocolate and keeping a healthy lifestyle?
Very interesting question. I actually had some blood tests done recently. I'm surprised the doctor didn't just come back and say, 99% cacao.
Your
Or,
blood is
or then,
chocolate. You're
exactly.
bleeding chocolate.
That's right. That's right. Cut me in half. I'm just chocolate. Yeah. So just for the listeners' context, like we get the chocolate from Belgium. They make the chocolate from the cocoa or cacao beans that come from Africa, from Ghana. Um, I went there a few years ago with my dad, with Papa Choc, by the way, but that's another story. But in answer to your question, yes, I love chocolate. I eat it every day. It's definitely a guilty pleasure. Am I guilty? Not really. Am I sorry? No, I'm unapologetically probably a chocoholic. It comes with the territory. If I'm creating a new truffle, a different flavor combination, it's important that I try it. I try not to eat it too unnecessarily. Some days I feel like I need the energy to give me that, like I mentioned earlier, that spark of creativity. And sometimes a bit of chocolate with my coffee is just what I need. So I try and eat more dark chocolate, being that there's less fat and sugar. It's more cocoa solids. Um, but I am a sucker for milk chocolate. I mean, I think there's a value in life sometimes to kind of having the things that you love and not feeling guilty about it. I try as best I can, of course, to exercise and have that balanced lifestyle. And I try and just kind of factor chocolate into that equation. So if I've eaten a bit too much chocolate, maybe I'll push myself to go for a run at the end of the day and turn it into a positive. But I do value, I value in trying to create healthy chocolate or healthier chocolate. I think there's a market for that, but I also think there's a market for, if somebody wants something indulgent, how indulgent can we make it? And so for me, it's like sea salt, crushed Oreo, caramel fudge pieces is my signature
Mm.
holy grail chocolate. And you just watch people like almost melting as they're eating it. It's like taking them to a different place. So yeah, there's value in that. So I don't feel too much guilt.
That's incredible. For those people listening, this is a health warning. I don't even know if Oli knows about this, but please be careful of the dark chocolates you eat. In the United States right now and in the United Kingdom, there is a class action lawsuit against the chocolatier Lindt because of how much heavy metals and arsenic, a known human poison, is found in its chocolate. When the judge read the paperwork, they asked Lindt why did you not say this? And Lindt's response was, we never said it didn't contain poison or heavy metal.
Wow.
So it has been pushed forward as a class action lawsuit. It is one of a multitude of chocolates that are currently on the market. One of them, again, which is really popular in the UK, I believe, is Tony's, also with incredibly high levels of heavy metals. So although good chocolate, the type of chocolate Oli is making, is important and healthy and has been proven to have lots of health benefits, always, always, always check the ingredients. Do a little research. I always say to everyone, do your due diligence on everything. Don't just take our words for it. Go out and do the work, because it's the work that'll be done on you. If you don't protect yourself, someone will be fixing the mistakes that you're making without even being aware, because you kind of expect these massive corporations to be forthcoming in giving good ingredients and the right amount of everything and providing you with a good product. But sometimes you got to say what the detectives say, which is follow the money. So just a quick thing out there for those people, especially like me, I'm mad about chocolate, like absolutely insanely mad about chocolate. And Alicia's the same. But read the back. I tell you, someone that did a great job on this is Brian Johnson. He did 10 chocolates. He broke up the ingredients. He did the scientific labs. And then he talked about each one and the benefits, which I thought was absolutely amazing. So if you get a chance, check out our friend Brian. But it does bring me to another question, because you are an athlete. You aren't just someone who runs when someone is chasing. You are an actual athlete. Like I follow you on Instagram. I see the magic moments. It's incredible. What is the balance there? Because I imagine, like you said, there's so much concentrated work. There's, of course, there's standing and there's jumping around and there's excitable energy, which we can feel even just speaking to you. But how do you switch everything off? The ingredients, the people who need your help, the excitement, and put it straight into your ultra marathons, your running, your everything else that you're doing, let alone being a parent and putting on kids parties and all that kind of work that we see as well. What's that like?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, it's trying to find that balance, isn't it? Like, it's never easy. I mean, I must admit, like, I feel today like I've arrived back in my flow, ready for 2025. I don't feel like I've had that. Like, towards the end of the year, I was in that flow. And then Christmas, which is amazing. I got to spend time with my wife and my daughter, like you mentioned there. And being really strict with myself, actually, I must admit, I kind of cut out alcohol, having the occasional glass of wine, but I've cut that out and just been focusing more on getting out for the runs in the morning and things like that, as you mentioned, Jason. But I felt like I had a couple of breaks at the beginning of the year. Now, this is my first full week back. For me, momentum is so important. And I really realized that when I have a break. So a break is good because I don't want to burn out, but I'm really conscious of all these things. And I'm constantly taking a check on how I'm feeling and my mental health and things like that. And I think this week or today, which is perfect timing to be doing the podcast, I feel like I've just found that momentum again and that balance. And like I say, I like chocolate. I do enjoy a glass of wine, but it's trying to just keep an eye and I turned 40 last year. And I think that was a bit of a milestone where I kind of went, you know what? There's certain things that I do a bit too consistently that are probably not serving me well. So if it's not serving me, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And I just feel like I've been able to prioritize certain things. So, when I've got to get into my creative zone, it'll be phone on airplane mode because there are constant notifications and distractions, which can be a really good thing to keep me inspired. But when I've got to focus on a chocolate project, it's kind of on airplane mode and capture the content as well whilst which is also a distraction. So it's quite hard because if I'm making something, I don't want to just make it. I want to try and stick a camera on so that I can share that with people as well. But yeah, it's a real combination, but I'm still working on it.
You do great because even when you're running, you'll have the camera up and you'll be doing like a vox pop about something interesting while you're in this like cadence.
Mate,
it's very impressive.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, vox pop. Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably because I'm at my most inspired at that point and I'm thinking about something and I just very rarely switch off. So in that moment, I'm thinking, actually, I'm just going to pop the camera, Instagram stories. I think people like to see the behind the scenes, don't they? I think Instagram stories is so valuable for me because people feel like they know me and I give them a bit of a deeper behind the scenes look, a bit kind of an extra layer. And yeah, so for me, it's quite it's therapeutic to be able to express myself in certain ways. But I appreciate that. It's
an absolute pleasure.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the momentum. It's so hard. Like, it's great to take time off, but trying to get that momentum back when you come back, you need something super inspiring that makes you want to dive in again and give it your all. And yeah, I agree.
I mean, in terms of getting a reset, I feel there are certain things that I do. And that might be having a sauna or something like that. I just take it. That for me is very therapeutic in terms of it feels relaxing, but I might still be kind of brainstorming, but in a more relaxed way. So I feel more ready to attack the day once I come out of the sauna. I do something called float therapy as well, as often as I can, which is literally kind of floating in a tank of salts, and you can almost fall asleep in there.
Wow.
Completely enclosed, which some people find a little bit scary going in there, but claustrophobic, but I find it a real switch off. So maybe for me, it's more about switching off for a short period of time. And if I switch off for too long, it's a little bit harder to get that momentum back again. But
that's incredible.
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you mind if I throw that back to yourselves? Because I'd be intrigued to learn. I'm curious.
Jason, you want to go first?
I'm the worst person for this. So firstly, I don't believe in balance. I don't think it's real. I think it's one of those made up terminologies like toning. There's no such thing as toning. You're building muscle or you're not. Like, that's it. It's black and white. My partner calls it a fried egg lifestyle, this balance concept. I think it's a scrambled egg because it's all just egg in the end. So I don't have balance. When I'm playing, I play. When I'm working, I'm working. I create time for it, right? Because again, we can't control time, but we can control where we put our attention. So I put attention spots or slots. and I'll put an attention slot to exercise or physiology or mental work or journaling or transcendental meditation or humming or time to dance or sing or watch a movie and, raw dog it. Don't look at your phone. Don't talk to anyone else. Don't stop to check where the actor's from. Just absolutely be in the moment for an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it's all one because it's one life, right? I think one of the things my friends always joke about is this idea that someone will say something like, well, we've only have one life. And I'll be like, no, we have one death. Every day is a new life. It's another chance to live again. So that's
dropping those gold bars.
Okay.
I love it.
Good. I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like every day is a mini life, and we're so blessed to have every day. And it's how much can we squeeze, how much fun and good stuff can we squeeze out of every day? Let's be realistic. There's days that are just very good. And then when you don't feel good and there's stuff that you've got to do that you don't want to do, but that's all right. That's part of life. It's all egg, like you say, but it's how can we squeeze as much fun out of those days? I'm intrigued, just before we jump on to Alicia, how do you block that out? Is that something that you plan out in advance, Jason, even the watching of the movies and
everything? If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. Like I have friends who'll be like, "Oh, can you turn up at 6?" And I'll be like, "Is it in my calendar? Did you send me a diary invite? Have I got the postcode?" And again, like so I have multiple sclerosis. I have an immune disease, right? And it's incurable. And some days it's the worst thing in the world. And some days I don't even know I've got it. But it's about controlling your energy. Like that's the greatest trick. If you know that today's mad, I've got 5 podcasts and I've got to do a Vox thing and I've got to consult for a client, then I know tomorrow I've block booked 3 hours of rest. And rest can be watching a movie, listening to a song, listening to an audiobook. It can be going for a walk, but I've got no one. I'm taking all that energy back into my cup after giving so much energy away. And that really helps me massively. And I've, talking about this the other day, like that'll include just time with my partner where we'll just sit and talk, or, I'll time with my friend, we will just do a phone call and like the old days and talk about absolutely anything. So I block book.
So you obviously block time out to organize, because that takes a lot of organizing, doesn't it? So
every night. So it's about, I don't do morning planning. I do night planning the night before. And I look at what tomorrow looks like. And then can I block book some time for a walk or a stop or a read and I try and look for things like you mentioned, things that refill my cup. So for me, that's drawing, that's watching a movie, it's listening to a podcast, listening to a song. Those are things that will refill me up again so that I can go out and do what I do again and again and again without getting tired.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alicia, absolute pleasure. Alicia, tell us about your...
I agree with Jason on this one. I don't think there is any work-life balance. Zero. As far as I'm concerned. When you're an entrepreneur, your work is your life is your work. So you better make sure you like it. And I think for me, I am a huge health fanatic. I will go down any rabbit hole and see if whatever they're promising is actually going to happen. I've had more doctor visits and different types of cleanses, you name it, I've probably done it. And I thrive on doing the research. I love doing the research. I love learning and seeing what the new technology is out there.
That fills your cup.
Yeah, it fills my cup. And then I will try it. And right now I'm on this long cleanse called it's from Dr. Pompa, and it's cleanse the cell and get well. And I have to say, I feel better now than I have felt in the last 5 years. And I'm currently not taking any of the medications that I used to take. For example, like a thyroid medication, never taking that again. So my goal was to get off of the drugs and get the body to work the way it's intended to work. So his methodology is if you cleanse the cell, your body will eventually produce the necessary hormones, anti-immunity stuff, all of that on its own again. Once you get it to, it's basically like we were talking about fill your cup. Well, with all the toxins in the food and in the air, your cells will fill up very quickly over the years. The older you get, the harder it is to get rid of these toxins. So this program gets those toxins out by these specific supplements for each phase. So I have gone down this journey, and so far so good. I'm entering the last phase, which really you never actually stop. It's just you go through 3 phases, and then you can kind of regroup and see how you feel after that and where you need some support
Yeah.
again.
And you might take elements from that into your regular kind of routine or all of it, maybe.
Mm.
Correct. And then
Mm.
every day, I start with 3 things I'm grateful for. I do a meditation, I do a little journal entry, and I read from a book. I try to do a chapter a day. Doesn't always happen, but I take
Yeah.
that first hour of the day to do those things, and then I work out. So basically, the first 2 hours of the day are for me, and then the rest of the madness begins.
I love that. I love that. I've taken so much inspiration from both of you there, honestly.
Oh, good. Well,
That's
I'm
really
glad
cool.
we get so much back from you, which brings us to second pillar of our 3 pillars of the show, wealth. You're very much like me in the fact that you've got what seems like an MRS strategy. In other words, multiple revenue streams, workshops, podcasting, live shopping. Is that is it what it looks like from the outside that you are creating these revenue streams, or is it that you've kind of got this one thing and you're like, actually, all these rivers lead to the same lake or lead to the same ocean, which is your sort of strategy when it comes to wealth?
Yeah, really, really good question. And it is actually the latter. I was actually talking with Alicia before we started recording today. It's mainly the chocolate business. So for me, like mum and dad have got the chocolate shop. They sell the products. I'm the service. I do sell some products on my website as well, but it's not my main business. It's more about bookings for, we do children's birthdays. There's myself and a team of, there's 3 of us in Manchester, and I've got one in London. And it's kind of keeping that at a nice, manageable level, because I've had it pre-COVID where that's gone crazy and unmanageable. So that took away, a lot of my creativity and spark, and just gave me a lot of stress and headache. So I've kind of got that in a really good sweet spot at the moment. The podcast is a passion project, which has been going since June 2024, which is something that we do hope to monetize. But for now, it's a really good way to kind of reflect and journal life, and also meet new people and find and learn like this with yourselves, inspiration and lessons from others. So it's been really beneficial for me in that respect, which I think has helped me to implement some of those values and lessons into my business. But it's also, I'm a believer that everything leads to something. So
Mm.
everything that I do in the podcast world, it all comes back in one way, shape, or form. So, maybe there's somebody booked me for a corporate event as a result of meeting them, or they heard about me through the podcast. But I think the philosophy for me is kind of doing what I love, having a variety, and it is definitely multiple things going on. Some are not monetized, but they're just something that I love to do, and it's a passion. And I believe they definitely open doors with others and lead to other places. The live shopping, which we spoke about, was so as I mentioned earlier, kind of did the lives with Disney and Lego, etc. I've not done any of those for a little while yet, but I've definitely taken so much from those experiences, and it's something that I hope to do more of. But for now, yeah, more so real life events. I've hosted sort of business awards and things like that here in Manchester in recent times, which is a revenue stream, I suppose. But yeah, the main focus is the chocolate, and going forwards is the sort of content creation, which again is at the moment in its infancy. So I'm hoping that, I think this week for me is a big time to, like you say, Alicia, gratitude journaling, and just kind of focus on things that you're grateful for and that you want to do more of. It's that content creation. It's like I was talking earlier, having that fire in my tummy, in my chocolate studio, making videos. So that's where I see it going.
I say this to everyone: if you have a podcast, you have to get profit. And sometimes people, get angry and they go, "Yeah, but I'm not monetizing." And I go, "I guarantee you, it's bringing you profit." And they'll go, "No, Jason, just because you found 36 ways to make money from a podcast." I go, "No, no, no. I found 36 ways to monetize a podcast, but I found over 40 ways to profit from a podcast." And then they'll be like, "Okay, name 2 that isn't advertising and marketing, or sorry, advertising, sorry, and sponsorship." And I'll say, "Did you meet anyone interesting that changed your life just by having a conversation with them?" And they'll go, yeah, I did. I took this thing away about being a better parent. I took this thing away about being healthier. I took this ingredient away about making better food. I took this, that's profit. Oh, and I got booked for a speaking gig. Okay. And I got booked for a corporate gig. Okay. And then someone told someone about me and that's all profit from a podcast.
100%. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people miss that. Like that is, one of the reasons we're doing this is because we profit from knowing you. We profit from having the chance to give value back. And from then sometimes people saying, well, you give so much value, we'd love to give you value back. And they book us for things. So
Brilliant.
profit in every podcast.
Exactly. What you put out comes back, whether that's good or bad. I guess you can call it karma, but I think if you're putting out a lot of value and goodness and good positive energy into the world, whether that's through podcasts or video content or just simply real life interactions, it comes back tenfold. For me, I learn through conversations with people. I try to read. I don't read really ever. I just buy books, but I don't read them. I'm not bad with audio books. I do actually, I'll go for a walk or a run and I'll listen to an audio book. So I'm learning then, but more so through conversations with people, because that for me feels real, maybe more tangible. I'm speaking to a real human being who's giving me real life examples of what works, what doesn't work. So I'm, always evaluating, could I implement that? Could I try that? Would that work in chocolate? Would that work in my podcast? So yeah, real value.
Love that.
That's exactly the premise of this podcast, because I think for most people, you're more willing to do something someone suggests because they've done it and it worked for them than you would be to go read it in a book from somebody who you have no idea who they are.
Exactly. It's why people put on Facebook, can anybody recommend a good kids entertainer, instead of just putting it in Google, because they don't want Google paid ads. They want real people to give them real life.
Alicia and I know this amazing woman, shout out to one of our listeners, Helena Escalante, who is a librarian for the New York Public Library. And in her signature, below her name and entrepreneur in residence, it says, you type in Google for 1,000 answers. You ask a librarian for giving you the answer that counts. And I always think that is a lot of the reasons why we do go on Facebook to ask for a magician or a chocolatier, because we want that one answer that we believe in, that we've already bought trust in, that we already, there's all that's already built in, because we're only looking for one answer that we can trust. We're not looking for 1,000 answers of people we've never heard of. Which brings me to my question. What advice would you give to an artisan, an expert, a profession just like you, who's looking to transition their craft into the digital space as you have?
I always use a quote, and if anybody has ever listened to or does listen to my podcast, Sofa Stories, we use this quote all the time, and I've taken it from Jack Canfield, which is ready, fire, aim. So it's, if you're ready, aim, fire, you're never ready. You're never fully ready. And I think so many people I speak to, like, oh, what did it take to set up a podcast? I'd really like to set up a podcast, but I'm not quite ready. I've not got the right equipment yet, or I'm probably not practiced enough in it, or whether they're a baker, but they want to share more content of baking cakes. And it's literally just ready, fire, aim. Just do it. Don't expect to be good when you first start. So I want to look back at my original content and think, God, that's terrible. Because how do you learn without the repetition? So it's all about repetition. It's a case of turning on the camera, whatever camera you've got, and over time you'll look back on it and think, how can I improve that? Could I add an extra camera? Could I make the audio crisper, better? Okay, I can invest in microphones. So you build that up over the time. But the most important thing is the confidence. Like people have always said to me, that I've spoken to from experience, the camera melts away. The more you film and the more you video, you talk to camera, the camera just melts away. And it's so true, because the amount of takes that I used to do initially when I set up in the studio years ago was like ridiculous. I was like, I can't, like 30 retakes or something like that. And it's terrible. But I just wasn't comfortable in myself at the time. But you've got to get over that. And you can only get over it through the repetition. And now I will literally just do one take. I record it live style. So that would be another piece of advice that I would give, is just go live style. And if you make a mistake, then you own it and you kind of like, you joke about it, put my teeth back in, carry on, here we go. So it's like, I'm better live. I can perform better live because I know every single word that I'm saying that's going out is going to be heard immediately. I've not got the opportunity to redo it. So that's kind of my approach to it. And some days you just can't get into it, but that's okay as well. But yeah, just do it. Repetition.
Yeah.
Ready, aim, fire.
Yeah.
Ready, aim, fire. That's the one. Yeah.
And I like that you
Sorry,
said
ready, fire, aim.
Ready, fire,
I
aim.
always get it wrong.
Apologies.
Right.
It's my favorite quote, and I always get it wrong, but it's good. Hopefully it sticks more. But yeah, ready, fire, aim.
I love that. And I think the other thing you said, you don't expect to be good when you start. I think that's everyone's misconception. You're not going to be great at first. You're going to keep trying and failing and trying and failing until you polish whatever it is that you're doing. I had a question for you. So what does a rich life mean to you now compared to when you first started out?
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, when I first started out, I would have thought that a rich life meant money and finances. And I feel that that is still a motivation because money allows you freedom and opportunities and experiences. You know, you have to pay for these things, and that inspires me. I'm not going to lie. However, it's not necessarily the driving motivation for me. My motivation is, like I said earlier, doing what I love, loving what I do. And for me, a rich life is being happy and, you know, being loved. And I think love is everything, you know, like having people around you that you love, that love you back, is richness. My mum and dad have got a great business. Are they rich? It depends how you look at it, doesn't it? I mean, there's always the contrast in comparison, looking at, you think, well, actually, I could be worse off, but I could also, you look at that person, I could be a lot better. So, I mean, comparison is a thief of joy, right? So it's absolutely key just to, I think, focus on what really makes you happy and what's manageable. And I do feel rich in life. I might not have everything that I want, the house, the car, you know, at this moment in time, but I do believe that by doing the things that I love and I'm enjoying the journey, I'm living a rich life in the process by simply enjoying every day.
I'll tell you what's interesting from this podcast is people's fear around this word rich.
Yeah.
When we originally talked about this podcast idea, we had a very different name and a very different concept. And Alicia and I were going backwards and forwards. And then Sophia and I, my partner, sort of went through what do we want to come out of this? And, you know, what Alicia wants to come out of this? And what does success look to us? And it was exactly that we talked about. What's the recipe we can give people? What's real people doing real things that maybe they've never heard of, or the careers they've never heard of, opportunities. And it was this word rich. And even listening to you, like, why do we need to compare to prove if we're rich? Your parents had you. Surely that was one of the richest moments of their entire life. I have no kids. No amount of money I ever make will equal to what your father and mother must have felt the moment you were born. What feeling you must have felt the moment you got to have a child, right? I have done insane things in comparison. There are 12-year-olds out there that have my life as a poster on their wall, that go, one day I'm going to travel the world and live out of a suitcase and stay in Airbnbs every month and fly, blah, blah, bull. In the end, 3 things will prove if you had a rich life. Did you love? Did you love one person? Did one person love you back? Did you live? Can you actually say you lived your life that you chose for you, not someone else chose for you? And did you matter to at least one person, even if that one person was you? Then you're rich. But it's funny, especially English people, and obviously I'm English, like watching how we talk in circles because we're so scared to say we're rich. Well, we're not rich in comparison, but if we look at poorer people, then of course we're rich. But if we look at rich people, we're not that rich. And it's like, actually, I have a partner who loves me. I have a beautiful child. I have a very sexy car, by the way. Your Mini is very sexy. I have an incredible job. I'm healthy. And let me tell you, when you are sick, you have but one definition of rich, and that's healthy. And you're healthy. You're insanely healthy.
Yeah.
You're not ugly. Like, again, like you've won the genetic lottery. You're a very good looking man. I say this as a man, you know, like, but we're so scared to kind of own this word. And it's a word that we purposely chose. We didn't choose wealth, which I think is linked to money. We chose rich because I think you can have a rich life just by noticing all your blessings and saying, I am insanely rich because I love what I do and I make people happy and I create these incredible moments and I get to use play as part of my job. and I get to talk to interesting people. And so I couldn't wait for you to answer, because you were the one person that I was like, they're going to sit back and go, let me tell you the rich life recipe. I'm a chocolatier. And you did it. You skirted like a typical English person. You did. You're so scared to be like, I'm rich. My parents are rich. My wife is rich. My kids are rich. We live in a great part of the world.
Yeah, it's so true, because we associate the word rich with money, don't we? So by saying
Monetary.
I am rich, you think people are thinking he thinks he is loaded, or whatever that is. But you know what? We've got a local Indian restaurant here, and my mum and dad go, and we all go. And the man that owns the Indian restaurant, Jay, said to my dad, "You're the richest man in this village." And my dad said, "Oh, okay. What?" But what he wasn't proclaiming that he's got the biggest house or the Bentley or the Rolls Royce. He was just saying that you've got love. You've got a family that loves you. You've got your son and daughter, your grandchildren that you love and that love you. And obviously, he could see that. He could see that love, and through us going in the restaurant. And I think you're absolutely right. I think being rich is. I'm drifting towards like living your purpose, I guess. Like it's interesting thinking of it as a recipe, because you come into this life and nobody gives you a handbook and says, right, here's what you need to do and how you can live to be happy, because we're all trying to find what that is and what works for us, aren't we? And for me, I feel that I've discovered over time my purpose. So as much as getting older is sometimes a bit like, oh, wow, God, I'm 40. How much of my life have I lived? I'm so much wiser than I was. And I feel that I've learned so much. And I feel that I know my purpose now, which is literally to make people happy, to put a smile on people's faces, whether that's, like you say, one person or 100 or 1,000 people. That's almost like my measure, I feel, of am I giving people goodness and positive experiences? And that is what makes me feel rich when I do that. So it's just to do as much of that and kind of touch as many people as possible in a positive way, whether that's through chocolate or something else. But I feel chocolate's just a way that I communicate with the world. It's just a tool that I use to communicate, but it's to inflict kind of happiness on as many people as possible.
I love that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So true. So given your diverse career experience, which you have a lot of that you've shared already so far, what's one piece of wisdom you would give our guests that may be trying to build their own fulfilling life, whether it's through passion, health, wealth, whatever that might be? What would you say to them?
I think it's something that's not just going to sound utterly cliche here, because you hear so many things, don't you? I think it's really just to be yourself, be authentically you. And I feel, like I said, I've come to that point in my life where I'm not at a younger age, in your teens and maybe even 20s, you look around at your peers and you try and match their behaviors, and you want to be part of the pack, and you want to be cool. Whatever cool means, is it a certain type of music that you listen to or a way that you dress? And I think I've reached a point where I just feel, for me, it's the most important thing is to be authentic to who I truly am, because people can see that. Like if you're not being authentic, people can see it a mile away. So I just think that's one thing that I'm really passionate about, is just being really true to how I feel, being transparent, being open, being vulnerable, owning the vulnerability, and kind of sharing that. Like I've shared with you guys, I've said that I've actually, a day ago, I would not have had the same energy as today. So that tells you I do have bad days. I do have low days, low moods, and anxiety, and whatever you want to call it. But it's okay. I think just own it, accept it, and own it.
How do I put this? What like generational knowledge from your family's chocolate making history has proven to be the most valuable for you?
That's a really good question. So my dad worked in a sweet factory at 15 years old. My grandma worked in a sweet factory in the office. He got a job making cups of tea and was inspired by the fact they were making sweets. Think about the term "a kid in a sweet shop." It was like a kid in a sweet factory who wanted to then had the hunger to like learn how to make jelly babies and all these traditional English sweets. And he showed that enthusiasm to the bosses there at the factory who saw that in him. They saw his enthusiasm and his curiosity and his willingness and desire to learn and do more. So they trained him right through the process of making all the sweets. They sent him to Germany. I think it was Cologne, where he learned, and he learned chocolate as well. That was the beginning of, they planted the seed in him of chocolate, which led to him making chocolates from home. And then me growing up, watching him making chocolates, and my mum and me and my sister sneaking downstairs in the middle of the night, getting handfuls of chocolate buttons because we were very cheeky. It's in my DNA, I suppose, to kind of create. And when I didn't actually know how I was going to answer that, but I knew it was going to be something about my dad setting up his own business off the back of being inspired by creating sweets and creating something from nothing, from start to finish, with his hands. I think with sweets, it would take like a week sometimes to get products off the production line by the time they've gone through ovens and different temperatures. With chocolate, it's like instant. You've got an instant result, more or less. So I think what I've taken from him is kind of just to jump in and try these things. And I always say, do not ignore inspiration. Never ignore inspiration, whatever it is, whether it's to kind of, if I feel inspired to go to eBay and buy an old M&M cassette, that's what makes me happy. I'm not going to ignore that inspiration. I'm going to do it. Or go out for that run, follow it. Always follow the inspiration, because I feel it's important, it's meaningful, whether it's like something small, trivial, or big. And I think for my dad, he followed that. He didn't know what he was doing when he started making chocolates from home, because he couldn't make chocolates the way that they taught him in Germany. He had to go throw the recipe book out the window and create his own methods. And I think I've probably taken on that mentality without even realizing. And I've probably absorbed that sort of nature of just do it. Like, you know, what you won't know until you try it, and you won't learn until you do it. And just don't be afraid of making the mistakes. And my dad's had people spit chocolates out because they're disgusting, and said, don't come here ever again. I don't, this is shops, that wholesale accounts that he's gone to in the early days when I was a baby. So he's got to go back to his wife, my mum, and say, sorry, we didn't get that account. They said they were the most disgusting chocolates they'd ever tasted. Or don't come here ever again. My dad was before that on a massive high, thinking, next stop Harrods. So it's like a roller coaster of up and down, but he didn't let that stop him. Clearly, he was like, right, let's get rid of that recipe book. Let's do it differently. So yeah.
You said something pivotal. Follow the inspiration.
Yeah.
That is huge, because sometimes we are not getting the message. And this just recently happened to me. And I have to tell you, I was devastated. Talk about a bad day. I was inspired by something, and I wanted to attend something, and I was manifesting and visualizing, and I knew I was going to go. Somehow I was getting there. And lo and behold, had I not filled out something incorrectly, I would have been there. And it was the opportunity of a lifetime, but I did not get the email or the phone call. So it's like tap, 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 tap. I'm trying to reach you several times to follow the inspiration, which you completely missed. And so I think that is pivotal for people to really follow that inspiration, because had I followed it and paid attention to where it was going, I would have been at the event.
Oh man, maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe your inspiration was taking you somewhere else. I don't know.
That's what I said.
And that is what I tell myself.
Yeah.
I was, do you know the Everyman Cinema?
I do. Yeah.
I was at the Everyman Cinema about a month ago, December, New Year, actually. For New Year's night, I went to see a movie. And I'm not from Britain originally, in case you haven't told or guessed by the accent. And this gentleman came over and he said, can I get you anything? For those that don't know, Everyman's one of these really cool cinemas where you can order meals to your chair to watch a film. And I said, I just want something nice. I don't really like New Year. And this is like a New Year tradition. I'm going to go see a movie and then go home for dinner and celebrate New Year. And he said, well, we've got this thing called chocolate buttons. And I said, oh, what's that? And he went, it's chocolate and it's a button. I was like, that's your description. That's all. That's what 3 years of college has brought you to. When I ask, what is a chocolate button? Your answer is, it's chocolate and a button. And it was milk chocolate. It was absolutely amazing in the shape of a button, and it tasted incredible. But that's what he could have said instead of it's chocolate and a button. For those
Still
people who've
sold
never
it
had
though.
chocolate buttons. Yeah, it really did. It was absolutely brilliant. I'm very thankful for that.
I guess that's it. You don't need to give it the hard sell with chocolate.
You really
kind
don't.
of
No.
sells itself.
It's chocolate. Eat it. You know you're gonna like it. If you could leave a billboard, a billboard on the highway of life that everyone passing it would see a message from you to the world, what would your billboard read?
That's a really good question. And now I'm actually imagining doing this and putting a bill. But just watch this space, by the way, because if this is a good answer, I'm doing this.
Do it.
The one thing that I always say is avoid the ordinary. So if I was doing it right now, because let's face it, we're lifestyle, we're putting me on the spot. That's my answer now, is avoid the ordinary. Because I think people would, it evokes that kind of like, what does that mean, avoid the ordinary? And it's, I don't know. I think it's something that's got to stop people in their tracks. If you put something on the board that didn't make sense, they'd probably get more attention than something that does make sense. So I'd probably put like jumble letters up or something. Instead of avoid the ordinary, I'd put ordinary, the avoid. Yeah, I'd do that just because people, you got to be in the traffic. People kind of like, I've got to see something strange to pay attention to it, to tell their partner, I saw this thing today. It didn't make any sense. It was really weird. Often
Ordinary,
like the
avoid.
TV. Yeah.
Love it. Very good. Very good.
Thank you. Good fun. What's yours?
Okay.
Alicia?
I just enjoyed having you here, Ollie. I think you're one of
That's what her billboard would say.
You're-
I just avoided Ollie.
Oh, you want you? Oh, you're asking me what the billboard
Please do.
Yes, what would your
Great
billboard
for
say?
me. Well, the QR code to this as
My
well.
billboard would say, "Don't wait for anything."
Oh.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Love that.
Mine would say, stop looking for the right. Start looking for the right now. Forget what you like. Focus on what's available. Get yourself hired. Show up early. Stay late. Do the work nobody else wants to do. Become indispensable because it's you. You can always quit later because play is just the ability to quit when it's no longer fun. Don't waste any more time of your life. It's now and it's gone.
Now is now.
Bravo.
It is now. I love that. That's powerful. That's amazing. I think it is now. All that exists is now. The past
That's
doesn't
it.
exist. The future, we can worry about the future, but you're not going to, all you're going to do is take away the piece of today, isn't it? And now is the time to take the action. I think I've got these Doc Martens, which are like covered in quotes, and it's almost like I've designed them. They've got, it says, what does it say on it now? It's not now, when. It's like, it's so true, isn't it? It's like, you've just got to take the action. And if you don't take the action, you won't learn, you won't get the repetition. You're not going to get the reps in. So
I tell you, one of the greatest things that I ever finally realized, and I'm turning 50, you'd say you just turned 40.
Exactly.
I'm a decade older than you. Is
decade
this
more
idea
wisdom.
that, yeah, exactly. The one few benefits. If you pay attention, you get wisdom with age. If you don't pay attention, you just get old.
It's true.
The benefit of wisdom, the benefit of is this realization that it's always now, that there is no past, exactly like you said, and there is no future, because when the future comes, it'll just be now.
Yeah.
And the benefit of now is I can handle anything in the now. I can handle almost everything in the now. My issues come when I use imagination of something that doesn't exist, or a memory of something that has already happened that I can't change. And I think it's so easy to forget that it'll be okay, because when it happens, it'll be now and we'll be ready now.
Yeah, it's so true, because you think about your life and you look forward and you think, oh, by that time I'll be this age, and but it won't be. You'll be now, won't you? You'll be now. Just living.
You'll be this age right now. Whatever this is, when you listen to this, that's all it is.
And all you got to do is be present, be mindful, and just deal with everything that's going on as best as you possibly can. There's no such thing as a right way or a perfect. Nobody's perfect. We're just all doing our best in the now. Absolutely spot on that. I love that, Jason. It's awesome.
Thank you. Well, listen, we've loved having you on the show. If our audience,
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up, 4 thumbs, 6 thumbs up. If our audience would love to find out more about you, would love to get your workshops going or attend one of them or buy things that you're doing, where do they go? What's their first port of call?
So, I mean, I guess the first port of call, if you've got Instagram, go to my Instagram because you'll see, you know, up to date, really, most of the time, what I'm up to. So it's at Oli The Choc, and it's Oli, OLI_THE_CHOC, Oli The Choc on Instagram. I've got also TikTok, YouTube. YouTube is Oli The Choc My World, because it's obviously not just chocolate, as we've talked about. It's also riding around on my one wheel, which is my electric skateboard, which we didn't talk about. So just drop that in there. But
Can I tell you, I've always wanted that because I saw a fitness influencer called Brooke Ence. She went to the guy who made it, who invented it, and she got it. It's about 7 years ago. And I've been obsessed. How hard are these things to ride? Really?
They just become nature. Honestly, like, truthfully, when I first got it, I thought, what have I done? I picked this thing up. It's like super heavy. I thought, I can't just ride this on the concrete. This is going to be a mess, a nightmare. So I took it on the grass and I practiced and I fell over. And it's like we said earlier, the repetition. I kept falling off. Eventually, I got the confidence to go on the concrete. I would only do it late at night when there was no cars around. And I just built that confidence. And I have had a few cuts, but touch wood, nothing, wear the protective gear, and it just gets second. People see me on it. It's the strangest thing because you see like a man just floating across and you think, that just doesn't make sense. How does that work? But it's a great conversation starter. I think like everything with me, it's a form of communication. Like fashion is communication. So is the chocolate, and the chocolate work is a tool to communicate with the world. And that's no different. People will say to the kids, look at that, and that's cool. And I'll stop and have a chat with them. So it becomes easy.
I love that. Thank you. I'm going to try it. This will be my year.
Nice one, mate. Yeah, please do. Let me know how you get on. And one day we go for a ride together.
Done. Deal.
Nice.
My next trip back. So from me, Jason and Scott, thank you so much. Alicia.
Thank you, guys. And thank you, Oli. It was a pleasure. I loved having you. I think you dropped many gold bars, as well as Jason today.
Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
So looking forward to working with you again soon.
More gold bars coming, golden tickets.
If you love this episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss your weekly fix. New episodes are released every Wednesday. And if you think this podcast could help someone in your life build their own rich life recipe, please make sure to share this with them too.
Hi, I'm Jason Owen Scott. You may recognize me from such podcasts as, well, the one you were just listening to. I've done a bunch of podcasts. In fact, I'm the first person ever to not sell one show, but sell two. To find over 20 ways to promote a show, to get more listeners. I've also found over 30 ways to make money from my podcast. It was at this stage that so many people came to me and asked me one question. How? How do you make money from a podcast? Which blew my mind because I kind of accepted that everyone was making money from a podcast, or why were they starting a podcast? But here's the trick. There's a formula that I found out back in 2015, and I've tested on people over and over and over again. To finally finding out that there's one recipe, just like the Rich Life recipe, a recipe to success. For the first time ever, we have a course that has everything in it. How to start a podcast, how to grow a podcast, how to promote a podcast, and how to profit from a podcast. I've done it in multiple podcast types, from lifestyle to business to financial to crypto. So this is your chance. And because you've come this far, I'd love to give you a gift. If you use the coupon code LISTENER, you will get 20% off. What I'd love you to do is go to the link podcastingforbusiness.co and open the gate and meet me on the other side.